Hey there, mums and dads. How would you like to teach your kids to save money and invest wisely so they can build a strong financial foundation for themselves so that they don't need to come knocking on your door for handouts? In this video, I'm going to share with you a letter I wrote to my kids telling them all about a guy that I met running, a guy who started investing, saving and investing every dollar he had at the age of 20, and now at the age of 40, he is in a position where he could quite comfortably retire. Welcome to day 17 of my 366-day journey to teach my kids everything they need to know about money. A big focus of this year will be to teach my kids how to get money working for them. So by that, I mean that they can consistently save some money, they can take those savings, they can put them into assets that grow in value and generate more income. And because those assets are generating more income, it means they've got more savings, which means they can buy more assets, which means they've got even more savings, which means they can buy even more assets. You get the point. Super important. Now today, I want to share, I'm sharing with my kids a very, very simple story of a chap that did exactly that. Not quite the way I would have done it, but he's done a fantastic job. So here's a letter that I wrote to my kids. Hi kids, one of the most important lessons that I want to give you this year is to understand how to get money working for you. Now, the easiest way to explain what I mean by this is to share a story with you of a guy that I met running 15 years ago. Let's call him Forrest. Now, when Forrest discovered on our first run that I was a financial advisor, he excitedly shared with me his very simple one financial strategy in life. Every time he had some spare money, now he was a good budgeter and managed his money well, but every time he had any spare money, he would buy Telstra shares. Now, as you probably know, Telstra is the biggest telecommunications company in Australia. And by buying shares in Telstra, Forrest is literally buying a part ownership in Telstra, the company. Now, it's worth knowing that Telstra shares are worth about $3.80 and there are 11.8 billion Telstra shares. So Forrest's share in Telstra, so his part of the share or part ownership in Telstra, is absolutely minuscule. But here is what I want you to know. When I first met Forrest 15 years ago, he was 25 years old and he had already accumulated $250,000 worth of Telstra shares. So he literally squirreled away every spare dollar he had into buying Telstra shares. He lived to a budget every month and put all his spare money into buying the shares. And as a part owner in Telstra, he would receive a dividend each year. Now, a dividend is simply part of the profits earned by the company and it's paid out to the shareholders who are the part owners in the company. In this first run with Forrest, he shared with me that he had been paid $17,500 in dividends. Kids, I want to point out here that Forrest did not have to work for that $17,500. It was his earnings from his part ownership in Telstra. This is what it means to have money working for you. You take money, you invest it into an asset or a company, and that asset or company makes money that then pays you money. I hope you're getting this. Forrest has not had to work to make that money happen, other than the fact he's been careful with his money, he's saved and he's invested. Not surprisingly, Forrest took every cent of the $17,500 and he used it to buy more Telstra shares. Now, a couple of years ago, I ran into Forrest again and asked him how his Telstra shares were going and if he had stuck to his plan. To be truthful, I'd half expected that he would have given up on it because Telstra's had some ups and downs over that time. He enthusiastically told me, though, that his Telstra shares were now worth over $1.15 million, and he was expecting close to $80,000 in dividends that year. $80,000 he was now receiving for doing nothing. At 40 years old, Forrest was now in the financial position where he could potentially stop working and do whatever he wanted. Now, it's a fantastic position to be in. However, I don't recommend putting all your money into just one company like Forrest did. However, I want you to understand that it was a very simple and very powerful strategy. A strategy that I'm going to discuss with you more in coming days. Love, Dad. So mums and dads, I hope that all made sense to you. This is such a simple but powerful strategy. So often, as adults particularly, we overcomplicate investing. We think it's really hard, it's really difficult, that there's some magic to it. But the reality is, it is super, super simple. This here is exactly what we want our kids to be doing. We want them to be able to manage their money well, save a portion of every dollar they earn, and put that money into buying shares and assets that will grow in value, generate more income that we can put back into more assets. So here are 4 really key points that we want to take out of this. Firstly, Forrest diligently lived within his means and always had money left over, so he always had money to invest. And in his early years, he was really tight. I can tell you, he was really tight with his money. So he was literally pouring as much money as he could into Telstra shares every year. Secondly, instead of spending money on things that would lose value, he invested his money into assets that increased in value and paid him an income. Thirdly, he put all of the extra income back into more investments, and he was patient and he took a long-term view. Very simple, mums and dads. We need to be sharing this with our kids so that from an early age, they can really set themselves up well financially. And to continue following my journey as I teach my kids everything they need to know about money over the next 12 months, please click on the subscribe button, my left, your right, click on that button, and together we can teach our kids everything they need to know about money so they can live their lives, pursue their dreams free of money worries.